It's pick 36, and the Rams are on the clock for their 7 round mock draft that we are putting out here constantly at Weeball. Make sure you check out the rest of our 7 round mocks, but let's get right into it. They get a guy who is considered by some, a steal of the draft type player. Like he could become a first round talent that you can get in the second round. And there aren't a lot of those in this draft. It is BJ Ojolari, brother of Aziz, LSU product. He's the speed of the two brothers. He like complete speed rusher, but he does have a nice move set. He's not going to beat you with power, but again, his speed is a trump card type of move that he has. I think he is being undervalued mostly because of the type of edges that are throughout this class. Like there's Nolan Smiths who are also these super speedy guys. So nobody's talking about BJ Ojolari because everyone's focused on Nolan Smith. But you get the next best thing here in BJ Ojolari. At 69, I'm going with a bit of a risk. That risk is cornerback Garrett Williams. Garrett is a very, very good cornerback. However, he's coming off an ACL tear. Don't really know much about him. We're not going to get to see him do any, he didn't do any testing. He's not going to be doing any of that stuff. He's really a giant question mark in this very, very loaded cornerback class. But I think he's going to be worth the risk, in my opinion. Um, just a lot of upside with the kid. He was a top player coming into the year, but he kind of fell off because of his ACL injury. So at 69, he's a bit of a steal. Another player who's a steal who you're gonna have to develop because maybe next year you're trying to get Caleb Williams or you're trying to get Drake May. So this gives you kind of the best of both worlds. At pick 77, I went with Tyjae Spears. You guys have not had a stable running back back there since, Todd Gurley. And even him, he was only stable for a few years before arthritis took him out. Really sucks. Wish Todd Gurley had a longer career. But nonetheless, Tyjae Spears moves like no other human moves. He's Kadarius Toney esque, but he runs with more power, more determination. Nobody moves the way Tyjae does. At the Senior Bowl, he made a move where he ducked under a linebacker, and I thought he blew out his ACL, but no, that's just how he moves. He's just super athletic, dynamic, and he could be a real force in the NFL. I think any team should be happy to have Tyjae Spears. Moving on, the next pick isn't for a while, almost 100 picks. And it's pick 167 with Ryan Hayes, offensive tackle from Michigan, a developmental offensive lineman. Nothing more that I have to say about him. I don't think he's going to be like a huge difference maker, but if he is, cool, you get him at 167. Next up is DeMarco Helms. I'm a big Helms guy. I normally wouldn't take him this early, but I feel like the fit is perfect for you guys. I think he's going to end up going later than this. The board fell in a way that I didn't really feel like taking anyone before him. So I went with DeMarco. I think he's got a lot to learn, but if you use him as a box safety type, he's going to be a lot better than what he was at Alabama. And he was a 3-year starter at Alabama. 3-year starter at Alabama, and he's going to get better if you use him correctly, which Alabama didn't do. That's a pretty good deal, in my opinion. Moving on to a guy who showed out at the Senior Bowl, 177 here. Puka Sua, absolute. He's a dog. He's just going to catch the ball. That's what he does. He's going to gain you yards. If you need someone to come in when Cooper Kupp's feeling tired, this is your guy. You throw him out there. He's going to get yards. You're going to look down at the score sheet at the end of the game. And you're like, I saw Puka a lot tonight. I wonder how many yards he had. And the kid's going to have, 80, 90. You're going to be like, I thought he touched the ball 4 times. But Puka made things happen on day one of the Senior Bowl and then wasn't there for the rest of the week, which was interesting. Apparently, he thought he raised his stock enough. Apparently, not enough because he's still going here at 177. But I think Puka has a lot of potential to be a very reliable target for whatever quarterback you guys have going forward after Matthew Stafford. At 182, I went with McClendon Curtis. Interesting one here. He plays guard. Normally, we see the switch from tackle to guard when you go to the NFL. I think he might be better off switching to tackle, which is interesting because he's a very big guard, but he's clearly quick. So I would like him more on the outside. He tried it a little bit at the Senior Bowl. I wasn't paying that much attention to the offensive linemen. I was more focused on wide receivers, quarterbacks, and things like that. Uh, but McClendon Curtis has a lot of potential, and at 182, it's value. If you're getting a potential, starter for your team at 182, I don't mind it. At 189, a guy that I like a lot, a guy I got to talk to at the Senior Bowl is Rajon Wright. I'm really going on a run of Senior Bowl players here. I believe this is 4 in a row. And before that, we had Tajay. So really big Senior Bowl mock draft here. Nonetheless, Rajon Wright is athletic, he's smart, he's technical. He's very average at everything. He's very good across the board. He just needs to take that next step to become a legit corner in the NFL. And if you put him in that room in LA, there's not much stopping him now with, losing Ramsey from him getting snaps, him being able to develop in a season where you're not going to be very good. Moving on, only a few picks later, 191, Will Mallory, tight end. This is if it works out, amazing pick because Will Mallory isn't going to be a complete difference maker right away. We thought he was going to be at Miami last year, and then him and TVD did not have the best of seasons under new head coach Mario Cristobal. So that might have taken away from him. Maybe we're underrating him. I don't think so. I think 190, 200 is about where he's going to go. I think it's all right value. You're not going to be getting anything, wonderfully fantastic from him right away, but he could develop. You never know. And speaking of a guy who could develop, listen, teams love developmental quarterbacks. They can just keep in their back pocket for a little bit. And this is the ultimate developmental quarterback to keep in your back pocket. Let him learn from Matthew Stafford. He just needs to figure out the technical part of being an NFL quarterback. And this guy will be able to do things. It is Tyson Bagent. We love Tyson Bagent on the show here. Got to interview him. Shout out Greg, his agent, absolute baller. But Tyson's he's really good, strong arm quarterback. He's athletic. He's big athletic, not like super fast athletic. He's big athletic. He's got to work on a little bit of accuracy, a little bit of touch, a little bit of placement. But he was doing a lot of things in his college offense that weren't necessarily catered towards his accuracy. It was more catered towards his arm strength, throwing across hashes, throwing across the field completely. So working on that with him, letting him sit behind Matt Stafford, letting him sit with McVay, it just makes sense. And it's a perfect spot to keep Tyson Bagent a Ram from the Shepherd Rams to the Los Angeles Rams. Pretty big difference. We're not in West Virginia anymore. And lastly, at 234, Jaden Hasselwood. This is an interesting one. Was a pretty big name out of high school, but didn't really work out at Oklahoma. Didn't work out at Arkansas. He kind of got screwed over by the whole Lincoln Riley thing at Oklahoma when he left. And then he left. It looked like he was going to go to South Carolina, stay with Spencer Rattler, where he had success. But he didn't have success with Caleb Williams. South Carolina didn't want him, and he ended up going to Arkansas. And now he's picked 234. I think there's upside with him. He's got to work on his hands. He's got to work on his route running. It's a lot of technical stuff with him. He's an athlete, but I don't know if it's a means to an end type player for you. I think you're going to be better off with some of the other guys we've taken. But that is it for this Rams draft. Thank you so much for watching. Keep locked in with We Ball during our mock draft week.